Welcome to the What's Working podcast, the podcast where we ask, what's working? Hey everybody, welcome to the What's Working podcast. I am Jimmy Nash, and we're very excited to have our guest today, Eric Blankenship, founder of Mindstone Marketing Group. Eric, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, being in St. Petersburg, Florida myself, just down from Tampa from you, the first thing that caught my eye is your work with the Tampa Bay Lightning from 2014 to 2019. Tell me a little bit about that and your background in marketing.
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised here in Tampa, Florida, just, a hop, skip, and a jump away from you in St. Petersburg. I went to the University of South Florida here in Tampa as well, got my degree in marketing. And my first job was actually with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was with them right out of college for about 5 years, all in marketing. I had an opportunity to leave Tampa and go to Philadelphia and worked for a pretty big sports entertainment company called Comcast Spectacor. We owned the Flyers, the Sixers, and about a half a dozen other minor league, semi-professional sports teams. We owned and operated arenas, and we managed facilities all over the country. And they eventually moved me and promoted me to the Seattle market, where I opened a new building there with a new team, but then also to Portland, Oregon, for probably about 2.5, 3 years. Then I went back to Philadelphia as the VP of marketing for the Philadelphia 76ers. Eventually, I found my way back to Tampa, became the chief marketing officer for Ruth Eckerd Hall, which is right around the corner from you, which is one of the busiest performing arts centers in the country. 3 years after that, I got the call to rejoin the Tampa Bay Lightning as their vice president of marketing.
That's awesome, and because that looms so large here on Tampa Bay. I mean, we know all the sports teams, and so we've seen their marketing firsthand. So good job. We know. But now, after 20 years of experience, I was curious, what made you make that shift, as we all do as business owners, from working in these large-scale environments, these large brands, starting your own full-service agency? What led you to create that?
Yeah, you know what? It was two primary things. Number one, and I alluded to it a little bit, but again, I've been very fortunate. I've worked for some really great organizations, some really strong brands. And from a marketing standpoint, I've had a lot of different opportunities. In some cases, I've had opportunities to build something from scratch, which is a lot of fun, a lot of work, but very rewarding. In other cases, like Ruth Eckerd Hall, it was an opportunity to take something that was already really, really good and find ways to make it even better, which is very challenging in and of itself. My time during when I was in Philadelphia with the as the vice president of marketing for the 76ers, that was a completely different situation. That was an opportunity to kind of start over and rebuild a brand. Now fast forward to the Lightning, and again, it was a big lift, and we had a lot of great team members to make it happen, but to completely transform that brand to what it is today was an amazing experience. Now, I say all that because from a marketing standpoint, I don't know how much more I wanted or needed to do. I felt like I had done so much. And again, very fortunate to be in all these different situations, but, it was very rewarding. But I didn't know how much more I could do from a marketing standpoint. Now, couple that with reason number two, my wife and I, again, are very lucky to have two small children at the time who were starting to get very active and doing more and more things. Well, as you may or may not know, when you're in sports, entertainment, live events, it's Monday through Sunday. It's 50, 60, 70 hours a week, nights, weekends, and holidays. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But when you have kids and you have a family, it takes a little bit of a toll. So for me, it was an opportunity to almost give a little bit of a life reset on where's my time going. So those two things together led me down the path of, okay, maybe now's a good time for me to try and do something on my own.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you had a similar thought process to my wife and I when we started our marketing agency. Although we didn't have kids, we were mostly in television production. And that same thing, Monday at least through Saturday, if not Sunday, 12,
Yep.
16-hour days. And just finally, I think COVID became the decider for us because we're like, everything stopped. And we're like, okay, are we going to wait till this starts back up and then still be in that cycle or start our own thing? So, yeah, it's always nice to hear it's you chose your family, you chose your time to start something
Yep.
new. Okay, so Eric, your company, Mindstone Marketing, you talk about emphasizing marketing strategy for the new normal. What even is the new normal in this day and age?
Well, it's funny because when I started my company, it was right around COVID. And that's kind
Hmm.
of what I was referring to at the time because my thinking was, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a lot of validation for this. It was a little bit of my logical thinking and maybe some hope was this that if you're a business and you shut down because of COVID, unless you're making a decision to shut down forever, you're going to come back. So
Right,
my thinking was this is that okay, if you're planning on coming back, let's use this time to reevaluate everything you're doing from a marketing perspective. What's good, what's bad, what's working, what isn't working, what aren't you doing at all? And let's really take a look at the overall strategy of what you're doing with marketing. Let's take a look at your brand, right? Let's take a look at who you are, what you do, why do you matter? Let's take a look at individual strategies. Let's take a look at some of the different verticals you're using and how you're using them. And the whole reason behind this was let's get all of your marketing in a great place so that when you decide to open your doors, you can hit the ground running and hopefully get a leg up on your competition. So, again, that's what I was hoping for. Lo and behold, I think I guessed right or I bet right because a lot of my clients, that's exactly what they were thinking, or that's what they were thinking after I got to them. So, one or the other. Now, it's interesting, the new normal, I think it almost it still applies today because in the marketing world, everything's changing. That's the
right.
one thing that's constant is that nothing is constant. However, I think what we've seen in the past 2 years is exponentially different than the previous 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And that has to do with AI and how
Right.
AI is being used and implemented in everyday marketing world.
I'm glad you said that because I think that's on everybody's mind. We get asked all the time, hey, what can we do with AI? What should we do? The last 2 years, I know one of our main clients is a pharmaceutical client, and they've had a drug that's been almost ready to release. FDA sometimes takes a minute to get the final approvals. The plan we put forth 2 years ago and the plan as it has changed today is just night and day. And it is because of AI. It is how people are finding their information and their products. I know of course, you have such a background in sports entertainment, but I see so many different clients on your roster online, or you call them partners.
Yep.
Uh, what would be the main way that has changed? Let's say, so I see my wife loves Faces of South Tampa. I see that you work with them. Like, what would change for them in the day of AI as far as finding clients?
Well, excuse me. So I will say this. You know, you and I are in the marketing space, and I don't know how well versed you are with AI, but I try and read something about AI at least 1, 2, 3 times a day.
Mhm.
And I by no means believe I'm an expert in that space at all.
Right.
But what I'm finding is a lot of my clients that I have, they know what AI stands for. They think they should be using it. They have no idea where to get started, right? There's not
Right.
like an AI store where some business can go and just buy what they need, plug it in, and all of a sudden you're using AI, right? You know,
Right.
the most my clients, for better or for worse, are using AI. It's Chat GPT, right? I mean,
Right.
that's it. They're
That's
not
oh yeah, I
using
use
any.
that.
Yes. And
Yeah, they
then
say
that's
I
what
know
I
how to
I
use
use
AI. Yeah, of
ChatGPT a lot myself. Yep. So
course.
a lot of what I'm doing at this stage is really educating my clients, giving them examples and ideas for how AI can be used to either, save time, save money, or both. Um, so I'll be honest with you, that's a lot of what I'm doing now is it's just nudging people along that direction because like any new technology, there's apprehension, right? Um,
Mhm.
the good news is most of my clients believe they should be using it. So that's a step in the right
Right.
direction.
Right. Get past because some people they start at fear or uncertainty and then curiosity and then okay, we need to use this
Yep.
in some way. We are doing that too. We actually we've dived in very deep with that because like AI lead generation, you still need to know how to use it. You can't just say, "Hey, find me leads," which is
Yep.
a lot like just chat, but it is amazing. It is transformative. It really is what you can do in your agency as long as you know what you're doing, as long as
Yes.
you're learning about it. So, from starting your own business, what what has been the most surprising thing for you about building and scaling your agency? From where you started and where you've gotten to now?
So you use the word scaling. Um, that's a very relevant word for me because, and I'm an open book, and I'll be honest with you. What I enjoy doing is marketing and consulting and coaching where I can work with the client and really get involved with their business and become
Mhm.
almost like I know this was a fun word to use for the past few years, but honestly, being a fractional CMO or a fractional VP of marketing, whatever the person wants to call it, because that allowed me an opportunity to really dive in and really get in the trenches with their overall marketing strategy. Now, with that being said, um, when I was really focusing only on that, I could only take on 3 to 5 clients at a time. So,
Right.
it took me, honestly, at least 3 and a half, probably 4 years to either realize that or accept that I'm not scalable as a person. So, while I
Right.
still enjoy doing those type of projects to where I could deep dive a little bit further and really have a 30,000-foot view, but be able to give feedback and insights on a micro level, I enjoy that. Now I only do that for maybe 2 to 3 clients at a time at most, and that's it. So what I've done in the meantime is find other things that I can be involved with that can be way more scalable for me so that I can still do both because doing one wasn't sustainable. I still want
Right.
to do that, but now I have to find other things that are way more scalable for me. And I'll give you an example. Um, I had a client of mine who got to the point where they really need to focus on social media.
Mhm.
And the reality is, I've been doing social media personally for decades, maybe, a long time. I know social media. I've done social media. I've done it for some big brands, but I don't want to do it. And I
Right.
don't want to do it for a few reasons. One, I know people that are better than me. Number one, I know people that are faster than me. I know people that they're less expensive than me. So if I have a client now that needs social media, rather than me working on that directly, I have a partner now that they will handle the day-to-day implementation of social media. I'll still be
Mhm.
involved to make sure we're staying on brand, we're staying on strategy. I'll help with ideation. But when it comes to the day-to-day maintenance, I won't touch it anymore. So
Right.
that's a good example of how I kind of found a way to scale something to where I can still be involved a little bit, but I don't have to do it. And that is what I'm trying to do more of, because if I can do more of those, then I can continue to do the other things that I like to do.
That's great. That's a great example. I think that's social media is one of those questions everyone has about because everyone's looking for a viral video or a viral post, and
Yep.
I it seems like those are great when you get them, but it's also brand building, and so you do have to have someone in charge of that and oversee it. But it's not always a viral post every day.
No, in fact, most times it isn't. It is playing the long game. The amount
Hmm.
of videos that go viral, whatever, however way you want to quantify that, versus the videos that don't, it's not even in the same universe, right? So,
Right.
social media, and that's part of the strategy we have with social media, and that it's an opportunity to really grow, strengthen, and really protect your brand, right? If you look at it that way,
Mhm.
then it'll be successful. If you're looking for it to instantly drive business or to instantly get that viral video, you know what? It's just not a realistic way to look at social media.
Right. So, of course, you mentioned the difficulties in scaling, doing some of the things you want to do versus the things that you can scale with. If there were one issue in building your business and growing or growing a client's business that you could just snap your fingers and it were done, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. You know what? I'm not saying every business needs this, but every business I deal with needs it. And you alluded to it already. Lead generation. Lead generation, it's the lifeblood, right? Somehow, some way, you need sales. You need lead
Hmm.
generation. Um, Regardless of what the vertical is that you're using or verticals, I that I think is a big piece because and again, you probably know this. It's one thing to get leads. It's another thing to get quality leads. It's another thing to
Yeah.
close them, right? And as you work yourself through that funnel, the numbers get pretty small, and it depends on the
Mhm.
client, it depends on the product or the service, of course. Um, but lead generation, I think, is paramount to everything. I mean, heck, lead generation is important to you and I, so
Right.
um, I think that's something that if you could snap your finger and solve that, all of a sudden 80% of the heavy lift I think is gone. And then let's be honest, there's 20% of other things that you can now work on. Really about maximizing your efforts and really honing in on the effectiveness and efficiency of some of the different things you're doing. Really, I come from the sports entertainment world where brand is very, very important. Now you can really put a focus on just brand building without having to generate a lead against it. So many businesses, um, they need that sale to justify that marketing expense, and
Right.
I get it. Um,
Yeah.
I've been in situations where that wasn't the case, and you could just build the brand. So much more fun when you can just build a brand for the long term and not have to worry about quantifying every marketing dollar you spend against against revenue that's coming in.
Right. Okay, that's great. And is there, I always like to, because one of the purposes in doing this podcast, we want to reach young marketers, people starting their businesses or businesses that are looking to grow in their marketing and they don't know where to start. What advice would you give to someone, let's say they don't have a budget to bring on a full agency, but they're just looking to take a step in the right direction? What's the one thing they could start with to just set them on a path?
I'll give you a 1A and a 1B, and one is very tactical, and one is, I guess it could be tactical, but maybe not as tactical. 1A, and we talked about it. AI. The reality is AI is not going away. It's here to stay. And if you think about 2 years ago when you and I for the first time went on ChatGPT and played around with it to
Hmm.
what AI is doing today in just 2 years is amazing, right?
Hmm.
Absolutely amazing. Think about what it's going to do in another 1, 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Unreal.
Right.
So I think it's going to be massively important. to make sure AI is part of what you do somehow, some way. The
Yeah.
one B, and it took me a little bit to realize this, but again, I was very focused on this many years ago. It's relationships. Relationships
Mhm.
matter. They
Of
really do.
course.
And AI can't replace relationships. It really can't. You know, the reality is anyone can have contacts, but not everyone can have a relationship. And I try to pride myself on having a significant amount of relationships with a lot of different people in a lot of different places. Even so much of having a relationship with somebody that, you know what, you look at them from a business standpoint, a professional standpoint, and you're like, I don't know how this person is ever going to be of value to me, right? They're not
Mhm.
like a close friend, but I don't know how having this relationship is going to be of value to me because you know what? A month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, that person could be in a completely different position where they are now. And more than likely, they will be. And now they're in a position where they can be an ally of yours, they can be a resource of yours,
Mhm.
they can be an asset of yours. So, developing relationships and then keeping those relationships and growing them, I think is undoubtedly important.
Awesome. Well stated, well agreed, definitely on my end. I think those are two great starting points. Okay, thank you so much, Eric, for being here today. Eric Blankenship, Mindstone Marketing, some wonderful insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Catch us next time on What's Working.